Welcome to Coffee Break. Thoughtful conversations for a busy world. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We have a stack of research on the table today that I have been really looking forward to digging into for weeks.
Yeah, this one feels a little different.
It does. Usually we are looking outward, scanning the horizon for tech trends, geopolitical shifts, or the macro stuff that explains why the price of eggs is up.
Right. The big picture stuff.
But today, we are pulling the camera all the way back, or actually maybe we're zooming it in until the picture gets a little uncomfortable. We're doing a structural audit on the self.
A structural audit. It sounds a little bit clinical when you put it that way. Like we're inspecting the foundation of a house for termites.
It does, doesn't it? But I think the clinical approach is actually helpful here because the feeling we are talking about is just so messy.
It's a very vague, hard to pin down feeling.
Exactly. It's that specific nagging sensation. And I know everyone listening has felt this at some point, where you look at your life, your job, maybe even your relationship, and on paper, everything checks out. The buttons close. The seams hold.
Everything looks good from the outside.
You've got the title, the salary, the responsibilities, but you are walking around with this low-level hum of anxiety that just says, this doesn't fit anymore.
Right. It's that sense of dissonance. It's like putting on a suit you bought 5 years ago.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Technically, you can still get into it. You can zip the zipper, but the style is wrong. The fabric feels itchy against your skin, and you look in the mirror and you just feel like you're wearing a costume.
Yes. You feel like a kid playing dress up in their parents' clothes.
That's it. Exactly.
And the instinct usually is to blame the external stuff. You think, I hate this job, or I need a vacation, or I need to move to a farm in Vermont and raise goats.
Classic escape plan.
Right. But the research we are diving into today, specifically looking at QofeBreak 053, and this concept of retiring outdated versions of the self, suggests the problem isn't where you are. The problem is when you are.
Say more about that. The problem is when you are.
The mission today is to investigate a concept that I think explains so much of the anxiety high performers feel. It's called identity lag.
Identity lag. It is such a perfect term for it. And honestly, this is one of those concepts that once you hear it, you can't unsee it.
You start seeing it everywhere.
Everywhere. You start seeing it in your colleagues, your spouse, and definitely in the mirror. It puts a name to a very specific kind of ghost that haunts successful people.
So let's set the stakes here immediately.
Yeah.
We aren't just talking about imposter syndrome, are we? Because that's the buzzword we usually slap on this feeling.
No, and that's a crucial distinction.
Whenever someone feels out of place, we say, oh, you just have imposter syndrome, you need to believe in yourself more.
And that's not quite it. The source material makes this distinction right out of the gate. Imposter syndrome is the fear that you haven't grown enough to deserve where you are.
Right. I'm a fraud, I don't belong here.
Exactly. You feel like a fraud because you think you're unqualified or that you tricked everyone into hiring you. Identity lag is almost the inverse.
The inverse. How so?
It suggests you feel like a fraud because you haven't admitted to yourself how much you have grown.
Whoa. Okay, hang on. That is a wild paradox. So imposter syndrome is, I'm not good enough for this. But identity lag is, I'm too big for the box I'm putting myself in.
You've got it. You are a capable, successful adult. Maybe you're running a department, managing a household, leading a company. But internally, your operating system is still running a build from 2015.
So you're solving problems that don't exist anymore.
Exactly. Using tools that are completely outdated. You're trying to run the latest software on a hard drive that hasn't been defragmented in a decade.
And the mission today is to figure out why we do that. Why do capable, intelligent people who can analyze market trends and manage complex teams fail to analyze their own internal software?
Yeah, why is that so hard?
Why is letting go of a past version of ourselves, even a miserable version, so surprisingly dangerous to the human brain?
Because if you don't run the update, you crash the system. We aren't just adding new habits today. We are talking about the necessity of subtraction.
Subtraction. Okay, I like that frame. So let's get into the mechanics of this. We threw out the term identity lag. Break that down for us. What is actually happening in the brain when we experience this? Because it feels very real.
Okay, so think about watching a video where the audio is just half a second behind the visual. You know that feeling.
Ugh. The worst. It makes it unwatchable. You can't focus on the plot because your brain is just stuck on the mismatch.
It's incredibly disorienting. Your brain cannot settle because it's constantly trying to bridge that gap. Identity lag is that exact desynchronization applied to your life.
So my life is the video.
Your external reality, the video, has moved forward. You have the title, the bank account, the responsibilities. You're living in 2026. But the audio, your internal narrative about who you are and what keeps you safe, is lagging 3, 5, maybe 10 years behind.
So I'm sitting in the corner office in the present day, but my internal monologue is still narrating the life of the intern I was 10 years ago.
Precisely. And this isn't because you're broken or neurotic. It's because the brain is, above all else, an energy-conserving machine.
Right. It's lazy.
It's efficient. Evolution didn't design us to be happy or self-actualized. It designed us to be efficient and safe. Updating the Who Am I file, which is a massive, complex neural network involving your memories, your beliefs, your motor skills, takes a tremendous amount of cognitive calorie burn.
It's metabolically expensive to change your identity.
It really is. So if the brain can just default to the old file, I am the scrappy underdog who has to fight for every scrap, it will do that, even if you are now the CEO.
Even if the evidence completely contradicts it.
Completely. It prefers familiarity over accuracy. It would rather run a cached version of the website that loads instantly than spend the energy to download the new version.
Okay, let's unpack that specific example because I see this constantly, and the source material highlights it beautifully.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the scrappy founder.
The classic archetype, yes.
So picture this. You start a business in your garage. Or maybe it's not a business, maybe you're just a junior employee trying to make a name for yourself. You are doing everything.
Everything.
You are the sales department, the customer service rep, and you take out the trash. You have to be that way, right? If you don't answer the phone at 9 p.m., you don't eat. That behavior, that hypervigilance, that refusal to delegate is literally survival.
It is the survival OS, and it works. That's the important part we have to acknowledge. It works.
It absolutely works.
It gets you out of the garage. It gets you to the first million. It gets you a team of 50 people.
But here is the lag. You now have that team of 50. You have a customer support lead. You have a sales director. But you, the founder, are still jumping into the support inbox at midnight.
I've seen this happen so many times.
You are still micromanaging the font size on the pitch deck.
Yeah.
And you tell yourself, I'm just being hands-on. I'm leading by example.
But you aren't. You're crashing the system. This is where the source material makes a crucial distinction. This isn't just a bad habit of micromanagement.
It's deeper than that.
It is a software compatibility error. You are running Startup OS 1.0 on enterprise hardware.
And the result isn't just that you are annoying your team. The result is that you are exhausted.
You are exhausted, and you are effectively capping your company's growth.
How so?
Because you cannot operate effectively in the present if you are subconsciously solving problems from 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the problem was we have no staff. Today, the problem is strategic vision.
And you can't see the strategic vision.
Because you are too busy doing the job of the staff you already hired.
It's like an invisible ceiling. And it's not a lack of skill. That's the crazy part. This founder has the skills to be a CEO. They just refuse to inhabit the role.
Refusal to inhabit the role. That's a powerful way to put it. And it brings us back to that feeling of the clothes not fitting.
The suit from 5 years ago.
The scrappy underdog suit is too tight now. It's cutting off your circulation. But you're afraid to take it off because you think that suit is what made you successful.
Right. You think, if I stop being scrappy, I'll lose my edge. I'll get soft. I'll become one of those corporate types I used to make fun of.
Which is the lie the identity lag tells you to keep you safe. It tells you that evolution is dangerous. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, staying in that old role is actually the most dangerous thing you can do.
Because you can't grow.
You are driving a Formula One car like it's a go-kart. Eventually, the engine blows.
So we've got this lag. We've got the scrappy founder. But this applies to everyone, not just entrepreneurs. I want to dig into how these survival habits go rogue in a corporate or even a personal setting.
It's universal.
The source material uses this phrase that I love, how old survival habits stay long after they're needed.
This is really the core of the issue. We need to reframe how we look at bad habits. We tend to judge ourselves for them.
Yeah, totally.
Why am I so defensive? Why do I apologize so much? Why do I over-prepare for every meeting? We treat them like character flaws or moral failings.
Right, we go to therapy and say, fix me, I'm broken.
But they aren't flaws. They are, or they were, solutions. They were highly effective solutions to a problem you used to have. You developed them for a reason.
Okay, give us an example of that in a workplace that isn't a startup.
Yeah.
Let's say the corporate ladder climber.
Okay, let's take the hypervigilant employee. Let's say early in your career, maybe your first big job, you had an incredibly volatile boss. Someone who would scream at you if there was a typo, or who would change their mind at the last minute and blame you. A toxic environment.
I think a lot of us have been there. You learn to walk on eggshells. You learn to read the micro expressions on their face to see if it's a good day or a bad day.
Exactly. You learn to be hypervigilant. You triple check every email. You anticipate every possible criticism before it happens.
You play defense constantly.
You never speak up unless you are 100% certain, because being wrong means getting yelled at. In that environment, those behaviors kept you safe. They were survival strategies. They prevented pain.
But then you leave that job. You survive. You get promoted. Now you're a director at a sane, healthy company. You have a supportive boss. You have a team that looks up to you.
But the file hasn't updated, so what happens? You are still hypervigilant.
The old program is still running.
You are micromanaging your own team because you're terrified of a typo. You are paralyzed in meetings because you're afraid to suggest an idea that isn't perfect.
And now, the very thing that kept you safe, that vigilance, is making you toxic.
It's making you a bottleneck. It's creating an anxious culture for your team. And ironically, it's making you look less competent, not more.
How so?
Your peers are looking at you thinking, why are they so stressed? Why can't they just make a decision? The armor has become a cage. You built a bunker to survive the war, but the war is over and you're still locking yourself inside.
That is the protection paradox. We keep the habits because we think they protect us, but they end up exposing us to new risks we can't even see.
Yes. And I want to highlight another common one mentioned in the source material, which is staying small.
Oh, this one hits home for a lot of people. Staying small, what does that look like?
Think about the person who constantly minimizes their achievements. They deflect compliments. Oh, it was nothing, just doing my job.
Right, the person who can't take a compliment.
They sit at the back of the room. They don't advocate for themselves. They apologize for asking questions.
Where does that come from? What is the past utility of that?
Mm-hmm.
Because in the modern world, we're told we need to have a personal brand and lean in.
Well, often it comes from an environment, maybe a family dynamic or a competitive school or a bad workplace where standing out made you a target.
The tall poppy syndrome.
Exactly. If you were too loud, too proud, or too successful, you got cut down, you got mocked. Or maybe you had a sibling who took up all the oxygen, so your role was to be the easy one, the one who didn't need anything.
So staying small was a way to keep the peace. It was a way to avoid conflict. If I make myself small, nobody will hurt me.
Precisely. It kept you safe from criticism or from rocking the boat. But now, let's say you are leading a project. If you stay small now, you aren't protecting yourself.
You're hurting your team.
You are hiding your talent. You are failing to advocate for your team. Your peers need you to step up and be an authority, but you're still acting like the kid who doesn't want to get in trouble.
And the cost is massive. We aren't just talking about missed promotions. We are talking about the psychological toll of constantly suppressing your own capability.
It's exhausting.
It takes energy to hold a beach ball underwater.
That's a great analogy. It creates a massive amount of internal friction. You know you can do more, but your autopilot is slamming the brakes.
So we've talked about habits,
Yeah.
the actions we take. But the source material goes deeper into something more structural. It talks about roles,
Right.
specifically the distinction between inherited roles and chosen roles.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like the part where we move from behavioral psychology to deep identity work.
It is a critical pivot. Habits are what we do. Roles are who we think we are.
And most of us are walking around playing a character in a movie we didn't write.
That's a great way to put it. Inherited roles are the scripts handed to us, usually in childhood or very early adulthood. The peacekeeper, the fixer, the scapegoat.
The hard worker, the golden child.
Exactly. These are patterns of relating to other people that get set in stone before we even know what's happening.
The fixer is a big one. I see that so much in leadership. The person who thinks, if there is a problem, it is my job to solve it immediately.
Oh, absolutely. The person who feels responsible for everyone else's emotions. If the room is tense, the fixer has to crack a joke. If there's a problem, the fixer has to jump on a grenade.
They absorb all the anxiety in the room.
Yes, which is a valuable skill sometimes, but...
But how does that conflict with a chosen role? Let's say your chosen role is CEO or department head.
Well, here is the conflict. You are the CEO. You are in a high-stakes negotiation. Your chosen role requires you to be firm, to hold a boundary, maybe even to let the other side be uncomfortable.
You have to be okay with tension.
You have to be okay with silence. You have to be okay with them not liking the deal.
But your inherited role is the people pleaser or the peacekeeper. Your internal alarm bells go off the second things get tense.
A siren goes off in your head. You feel that physical urge to smooth things over, to give in, to make everyone like you.
I can feel it now just talking about it.
Your palms sweat, your heart races.
Exactly. You might technically be the boss, but emotionally, you revert to being the 10-year-old who needs to make sure mom and dad aren't fighting. And you start negotiating against yourself.
Yes. You concede points you shouldn't just to lower the emotional temperature in the room.
And this happens on autopilot. That's the scary part.
Yeah.
You don't decide to do it. You just hear yourself saying, okay, sure, we can do that. And then you walk out and think, why did I say that?
It's the autopilot effect. Under stress, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that does the strategic thinking, goes offline. We revert to the limbic system, the primitive brain.
And the primitive brain only knows the old hits.
It plays the inherited role because that track is worn deep into the vinyl.
So you walk out of that meeting thinking, why did I agree to that? That was a terrible deal. And you beat yourself up.
But you have to realize you weren't negotiating as the CEO. You were negotiating as the peacekeeper. You were negotiating for safety, not for the contract.
And this applies to relationships too, doesn't it? Professional and personal.
Universally. Think about how often we treat a business partner like a chaotic parent we have to manage, or we treat a spouse like a boss we have to please. We map these old templates onto new people.
We replay the same drama with a different cast of characters.
We do. And growth, according to this deep dive, requires the conscious decision to stop reading the script you were handed.
To put the script down.
You have to look at the script and say, wait, this character arc ended in season 1. I'm in season 5 now. I need to improvise my own lines.
But improvising is terrifying.
It is. It's the scariest thing you can do. Because when you follow the script, even if it's a bad script, you know what happens next. When you improvise, anything could happen.
The uncertainties are the hard part.
The other person might get mad. They might leave. Or, and this is the possibility we often ignore, they might respect you more.
And this brings us to what I think is the most surprising emotional insight from the source material. We usually think changing for the better feels good, triumphant.
Yeah, you expect a parade.
Rocky Balboa at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
We expect a montage.
Cue the music. We expect the high five.
Right. But the source says something different. It says, changing often feels like betrayal to your past self.
This is such a profound point. We underestimate the loyalty we have to our own suffering.
A loyalty to the struggle.
Yeah.
That is a heavy concept.
Think about the entrepreneur we talked about earlier, the one who worked 80-hour weeks, ate ramen, missed weddings, sacrificed everything to build the company.
It paid their dues.
That version of them, let's call it past self, suffered immensely. They gave up everything to get you here.
They paid the price. They have the scars.
They paid the price. Now fast forward. The company is successful. You have money. You have staff. You could take a weekend off. You could go to a nice dinner and not check your email. But when you do,
I feel guilty.
You feel massive guilt. It feels like a betrayal.
Why? Why does it feel like betrayal?
You think, how dare I enjoy this soft life when the old me suffered so much to get here? It feels like you are abandoning that warrior who fought for you.
It's almost like survivor's guilt.
It is exactly survivor's guilt. You are the survivor of your own past life. And leaving that version of yourself behind, even though they were miserable, feels like turning your back on a friend.
So you sabotage yourself. You work on the weekend when you don't have to, just to show solidarity with the old you.
You do. You think, I'm still in the trenches. I haven't changed. Look, I'm miserable too. You reenact the struggle because the struggle feels like home. You build a prison of your own making just to prove you haven't forgotten where you came from.
That is heavy. But it explains so much about why people can't enjoy their success. They feel like enjoyment is a sin against their history.
And then layer on the external piece. The source talks about the emotional discomfort of evolving publicly.
Oh, this is the fear of being called fake or inconsistent.
Especially in the age of social media and personal branding. We feel locked into a specific persona. If you built your brand on being the hustle guy, the no days off warrior, and suddenly you want to talk about work-life balance or mental health, you are terrified.
Because your audience will call you out.
You think people will say, I'm inconsistent. They'll say, I've changed.
And we treat "you've changed" like an insult. You changed, man. You used to be cool.
Which is absurd. You've changed should be the highest compliment. If you haven't changed in 5 years, you aren't paying attention. You aren't learning.
So true.
But we have this societal obsession with consistency. We think integrity means staying exactly the same forever.
But the source argues that inconsistency is often just evidence of learning.
Stagnation is the real failure. Changing your mind, changing your approach, changing your values, that is the definition of growth.
But scary.
We often prefer the misery of the known role, the one people expect from us, to the anxiety of the unknown new role. We'd rather be predictable and unhappy than unpredictable and free.
It's the devil you know.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We have identity lag, we have rogue survival habits, we have inherited roles, and we have this guilt about changing. So how do we actually move forward?
The practical part.
The source material pivots here to a core philosophy: reframing growth as subtraction.
This is my favorite part of the deep dive, because if you look at modern self-help or hustle culture, it is entirely obsessed with addition.
More habits, more routines, more skills, more networking. The morning routine videos on YouTube where you have to do 12 things before 6 a.m.
More. Wake up at 4 a.m., ice bath, journal, meditate, run a marathon, learn Mandarin. It's exhausting just saying it.
It is.
It treats the self like a bucket you just keep filling up.
It feels like you are trying to build a skyscraper on top of a crumbling foundation. You aren't fixing the structure, you're just adding weight.
That's it. The source argues that true growth, especially at this stage of adulthood, mid-career, midlife, isn't about adding new things. It's about letting old versions go.
It's about subtraction.
It's an excavation process.
I like the analogy of the house. You can't just keep buying new furniture.
Right. Imagine your living room. It's full of furniture from your college apartment, the futon with the stain, the beanbag chair, the wobbly table.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a beautiful new Italian sofa, but you have nowhere to put it.
The room is full.
The room is full. You have to carry the old smelly couch out to the curb first.
And that takes effort. It's harder to haul a couch out than to bring a lamp in. It's heavy. It's awkward.
It is heavy lifting, and it's emotional. That couch has memories. I sat on that couch when I got my first job offer. I cried on that couch when I got dumped.
Sure.
But it's broken. It has springs poking out. It doesn't fit the life you are living now.
So we have to clear the space. But the source makes a really gentle point here that I loved. It says, letting go of old versions of yourself doesn't erase your history.
This addresses the betrayal factor we talked about. Retiring a version of yourself isn't an insult to that version. It's a graduation.
I love that. It's a graduation. You don't hate high school, you just finished it.
Think about your high school yearbook.
Oh God, the hair, the frosted tips.
The hair, the clothes, the quotes. It's all cringeworthy now. But do you burn it?
No, I keep it on a shelf. I look at it every few years and laugh.
You keep it on a shelf. You honor it. That kid in the yearbook, they did the best they could. They got you through high school. They got you to where you are now.
You thank them for their service?
You honor them, but you do not carry that yearbook around in your briefcase every single day. You don't walk into a board meeting and start acting like your high school self.
Unless you're having a really bad day.
Right. But generally, you leave it on the shelf. You preserve the history, but you don't live in it. That is the balance.
So you can be grateful for the past self without being trapped by it.
You can look back at the scrappy founder or the peacekeeper child and say, thank you, you saved me, you were exactly what I needed then. But I'm taking it from here.
I'm taking it from here. That is empowering. Okay, let's get into the practicals. Because I know people are listening to this thinking, okay, I'm sold, I'm wearing the wrong suit, how do I take it off?
How do we actually do this?
The source gives us a few really actionable steps for this structural audit.
And they are very practical. No incense required, no retreats to Bali.
Step 1 is the friction audit.
This is about data collection. Most of us just power through our days without noticing where the energy leaks are. The friction audit asks you to look for places in your life where you feel disproportionate friction or exhaustion.
Give us an example of disproportionate.
Okay, let's say you have to send a simple email to a client. It should take 2 minutes. But you find yourself procrastinating on it for 3 days.
Been there.
You feel a knot in your stomach every time you think about it. You rewrite it 5 times. That is disproportionate friction.
That's a red flag.
Huge red flag. That friction is usually telling you that an old map doesn't match the new territory. Maybe you are afraid of the client's reaction, inherited role, people pleaser. Maybe you feel like you need to write a masterpiece, survival habit. Hypervigilance. The friction marks the spot where the lag is happening.
So pay attention to where you are dragging your feet. That's where the old self is hiding. Don't just push through it. Ask who is trying to write this email.
Exactly. Which part of me is showing up right now?
Okay, step 2. I love this one. Naming the old role.
This is a cognitive behavioral trick, but it works wonders. You need to externalize the old identity. Give it a name. Make it a character.
So we aren't identifying as the problem, we are observing it.
Yes. If your tendency is to hoard resources and worry about money even though you're profitable, maybe that's Scarcity Steve.
Scarcity Steve, I feel like I know him. He reuses tea bags.
He definitely does. If you micromanage everyone, maybe that's Manager Mary. Or Control Freak Carl.
Why does this help? Is it just to make fun of ourselves?
It creates distance.
Yeah.
When you are in the grip of the behavior, you think, this is me, this is just who I am. When you name it, you can catch yourself and say, oh, look at that. Scarcity Steve is taking the wheel right now.
Steve, get in the back seat.
Steve, get in the back seat. We have plenty of budget. It makes it easier to spot. You stop identifying as the behavior and start seeing it as a visitor. It breaks the trance.
It gives you a choice.
It allows you to step back into the observer seat and make a choice.
Okay, step 3. This is for the analytical minds out there. Update the evidence.
This is crucial for fighting that imposter syndrome feeling. Your brain is running on old data. I am lucky to be here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get fired.
The greatest hits of the insecure brain.
You need to flood the system with new data. You have to actively look for evidence that contradicts the old self-image.
So, literal evidence, like you're going to court.
Literal evidence. Write it down. I am not just lucky. I have 10 years of successfully led projects. I am not scraping by. Our profit margin is 20%. I am not unlovable. I have a partner and friends who show up for me.
You are building a legal case against your old self-image.
You are. You are the lawyer for the defense of the new you. You have to prove to the jury, your brain, that the old file is factually incorrect.
Because feelings aren't facts.
Feelings are strong, but facts are stubborn. If you stare at the facts long enough, the feelings start to shift. You rewire the neural pathways.
I love that. Fight feelings with facts.
Oh.
Okay, step 4, the act as if experiment.
This is where the rubber meets the road. You have to test drive the new car. You can't just think your way into a new way of being. You have to act your way into it.
This sounds scary.
It is. So you start small. You don't overhaul your whole personality on a Tuesday. Pick a low-stakes situation to act fully in your current role, ignoring the survival instinct.
Give us a low-stakes example.
Okay. Let's say your survival habit is over-explaining. You feel like you have to justify every decision to avoid criticism. You send paragraphs when a sentence would do.
Oh, guilty. Here are the 5 reasons why I hate this. Please don't be mad.
Right. So, the experiment. The next time someone asks you a simple question, give a direct answer. No justification, no because, just the answer.
Can we want the meeting to Tuesday? No, Tuesday doesn't work for me.
Just that. Full stop. Silence.
My heart is racing just thinking about it. I feel like I'm being rude.
And that's the experiment. You do it. Your heart races. Your palms sweat. You think, they're going to hate me. They're going to think I'm arrogant. And then you watch what happens.
Spoiler alert, the world doesn't end.
The world doesn't end. They usually just say, okay, how about Wednesday? And your brain goes, wait a minute. We didn't die. We didn't get yelled at. We didn't have to explain ourselves.
And that is how you update the software.
That is the update. You need that experiential feedback. You have to prove to your nervous system that the war is over and it's safe to take off the armor. Every time you survive one of those experiments, the new identity gets a little stronger.
Now, what happens when we slip up? Because we will. You're going to have a stressful day, you haven't slept, and Scarcity Steve is going to kick down the door and cancel the company retreat.
Classic Steve. Yes, you will slip. The lag is real. The old paths are deep.
How do we handle that without spiraling into shame? Because shame just makes us want to hide, right?
Exactly. You have to remember, it's not a moral failure. It's biology. It's just an old neural pathway firing because it's well greased. It is simply the path of least resistance.
So don't make it mean something about your character.
Right. When you catch yourself doing it, don't beat yourself up. That just adds more friction. Just say, whoops, that was the old setting.
Just notice it and move on.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of course, apologize if you need to. Actually, ignore that last email. I was overthinking it. Here's the plan, and move on.
Whoops. That was the old setting. I like that. It's neutral. It's technical.
Shame is the glue that keeps you stuck in the old patterns. Curiosity and humor are the solvents that dissolve them. If you can laugh at Scarcity Steve, he loses his power over you.
Curiosity and humor. That's a great bumper sticker for this whole episode.
I think so.
We have covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from the mechanics of identity lag to the emotional betrayal to success, all the way to naming our inner scarcity steves.
It's a journey.
If we had to boil this down for the listener, someone who is driving to work right now or doing the dishes, what is the headline?
The headline is that you are likely operating with a map that doesn't match the territory. Identity lag is real. Survival habits have an expiration date.
And growth isn't about adding more.
And growth is fundamentally a process of subtraction, not addition. You don't need to add more. You need to let go of what no longer fits.
And why does this matter right now? Why can't we just keep being our quirky, slightly outdated selves?
Because the world is moving too fast. We are living in an era of constant change. If you don't manually update your internal OS, you will become obsolete in your own life.
You'll be left behind.
You will be solving 2015 problems in 2026. And more importantly, you will be denying yourself the satisfaction of enjoying the life you have actually built.
That's the tragedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Building a beautiful house, laying every brick yourself, and refusing to live in it because you're used to the tent.
Exactly. Move into the house. You earned it.
Well, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with a thought to chew on. Something provocative that comes straight out of this logic.
We've talked a lot about what helped you survive. So here is the question. What is one thing you are currently doing that was vital for your survival 5 years ago, but is currently poisoning your success today?
Poisoning your success. That is a strong image.
It's meant to be. Find the antidote. Retire the old self.
Thank you for diving deep with us today. Go easy on your old selves, thank them for their service, but don't let them drive the car. See you in the next deep dive.
Take care.
Thanks for spending this time with us on Coffee Break. If this conversation stayed with you, you can find more episodes here on the channel. Until next time, take care.